Hello and welcome to our continuing coverage of the mixed division here at EUCS Elite Invite. This is the final round of pool play. We have a game between Sesquidistus from Strasbourg, France, and Deep Space from London, UK. My name is Francis Dieterle, and I will be commentating this game with you this fine morning. So far, what we have from these teams, Sesqui have gone undefeated. They are 2-0, as are Deep Space. Sesqui pulled off a pretty good game. They were dragging a little bit behind Tartu Turbulence, the Estonians, yesterday on the live stream, and they managed to get themselves back in the game and pull ahead with a commanding lead. Deep Space were pretty comfortably ahead of Disconnection, the Germans, in their pool play game, and they believe maintained their 8-5 halftime lead to close out the game 15-11. So this is the battle for Pool A. Deep Space, of course, are the reigning champions in the mixed division, taking down Groot in a Universe Point final last year. Sesqui have had a little bit different of a path to get here, which I'll talk about in a bit. But here, Deep Space are opening up on offense. Sesqui coming out with a poach set. Looks like a flat wall up front and a diamond behind it. You have the big mark of Cedric Wagentrutz. Deep Space, I believe that's Cauldron with the disc swinging out to the center. Really just trying to find some holes right there. Squires with the disc. Deep Space just probing in the Sesqui defense. A little scooper over the top from Cauldron. And a throw down the line. Looks like Deep Space are moving it pretty well now. Sesqui yelling a lot of movement from the sideline. They've transitioned to their match defense. Disc with Tom Fisher. And that's a big shot from Deep Space out to Alvaro Iturmendi, it looks like. And that is a good D from John Kofi. John Kofi doing the NBA no foul sign. Iturmendi, part of that second place Spanish Open team in Beach Worlds in Los Angeles this last year, throwing his Spain cap to the sideline, looking like he needs to get some better vision. Two of my favorite players to play with and against matched up against each other, Kofi and Itur. And Justine Bleu to pick up the disc on the sideline for Sesqui. She's a lefty. She played for France Mixed this past season, also a gold medalist in the European Grass Division. Tessier throws it down into the center. Tessier gets it back. The former Isno player throws it up to Sidlik. And the Grandmaster gets it off the sideline. Kofi with the disc now. He likes to be creative, but he's just going to be patient and takes a swing over to Blue. Blue back into the center. Sesqui have been thriving on this small movement. Yesterday, they managed to generate a lot of momentum against Tartu just with the small pass game. Tiffen Lachi down to Cedric Wagentrutz. Cedric on the sideline, back to Blue. She uses her reach very well, and she's got an excellent high release, we see right there. And Cedric with a big creative hammer, but that one is going to be too far for Tessier despite the bid. Deep Space get another chance to attack. And that's a big shot going up again. And it looks like there is some contact on the reception. Deep Space are going to call this and they're going to discuss with Sesqui. Looks like no contests from Sesqui. They bring it to the front line. And there's a small dish right there. Deep Space, get back on the board. I think that's Elliot Cook, the Australian, with the score. Deep Space 1-0. So Sesqui, as I said before, with a little bit of a different path than the other teams to get here. And this is the elite invite, of course, which means that it is the top 8 European teams from last year's EUCF. Sesqui, of course, not in that top 8, did not actually make it to EUCF. They had a heartbreaker of a final, losing on Universe point to French rivals Monkey, and not used to the game-to-go formats. They thought that they would give everything in that final, but it turned out that Monchaux had a slightly easier game in that game-to-go, in the game-to-go to the game-to-go, and Monchaux also edging Sesqui out on Universe. This is Sesqui's sort of revenge tour this year. As we see Ancelin, Gaël Ancelin, the World Games player, pick up the disc. He throws it over to Barentin, who has been putting up some excellent hucks. And Sesqui moving down the sideline efficiently. Barentin gets the disc back into the center. Ancelin fishing for it. There's a wide swing backward. As the deep space defense is doing a really good job of pushing them back and putting pressure on those resets. Trapped on the sideline again, Ancelin with that excellent inside flick over to Petitot, one of his favorite targets. Loris Petitot puts it up. And Kylian Gay, or Kiki as he's called by his teammate, brings it down. He's a big body. All notched up at ones. Sesqui on the board. So despite these two teams both looking to make it to EUCF, they're in slightly different places. Deep Space have a little bit of a roster redo from this year. At Padova, in the early leg of the tour, the spring invite a few weeks ago, they had quite a few of their female matching players out for injury or who weren't able to make it. Hannah Yorworth is still not playing with them yet, but they have a little bit of a roster turnover from last year, from their championship season. And so they're looking to use this as an opportunity to grow together as a team and look really long-term, looking to have strong performances in 2 years in 2026 rather than immediately and gunning for a repeat championship. Sesqui, really at the top of their game, they have a nice mixture of experience and youth, and so they are going to look to perform as well as they can to qualify for EUCF after missing out last year. Blue signaling for the pull. It's a good pull. Deep Space coming out in a horizontal with Cook in the center, the Dingo's player. He puts up a big huck to Iturmendi, and Itur casts his spell again. The Spanish wizard scores once more. Far too easy if you're Sesqui. Deep Space having just had a 2-pass offense. It looked like Iturmendi just managed to sneak deep. Might have been Tessier on the defense there. I couldn't quite see because of the camera angle, but I think that is what you want from Deep Space. Sesqui are going to have to try and find something a little bit different. I liked the zone, the junk that they came out with, but I also like the variability that they're offering on defense. It's good to not play 2 defenses in a row. So let's see what Deep Space can cook up here on defense. Slow down some of that small movement between the handlers on Sesqui. Sesqui also with a slightly shortened roster. They have the majority of their team from French nationals. I'll talk about that in a while, but World Games player Sasha Sokolski not playing with them. He's ill this weekend and unable to make it. An immediate poach off the front. It's a great defense from Deep Space, and they are just going to fast break it back up the field. Disc into the center. A lot of small movement between handlers right here, trying to find that break side, and a good inside. That's an immediate break. Deep space with an excellent defense and a very good offensive possession to back it up. That is 3-1 for the Londoners. So again, I did mention that this is sort of the Sesqui Revenge Tour. Sesqui repeat champions, French national champions in 2022 and 2023. They had an undefeated streak of 22 games. So that's 16 games for the first 2 years and then 22 games before coming to the semifinals this year, just a few weeks ago in the middle of April. And they lost to Isaka, the Isno and Yaka combination team. Isno and Yaka closing out that game with a 7-2 run to put to end Sesqui's hopes of creating the three-peat. So Gaël Ancelin told me in my correspondence with him that that was really a wake-up call. That 22-game streak was quite nice, but it turned out that it was a good thing for them. He said that they're going to use that as fuel for this season to try and become better and develop and go up against these stronger teams. Deep space with a good chase on the pole, but it looks like it's out of bounds anyway. See number 45, Rowe, Duncan Rowe, chasing on the pole. He had some excellent defensive plays yesterday. He's got very good closing speed. So you split stack out of Sesqui. This is something that we see a lot out of the French teams now. I think in a lot of French Ultimate, we're starting to see the split stack come back into vogue. Ancelin finds the split play over to Céline Antoine, also known as Dudu. Dudu back into Gaël. Ancelin throws it down the line. Petitot with the disc again, another French national team, open national team. Ancelin with the give and go. Good little roll switch from the deep space defense, and Petitot finds a round, but that is dropped by Sesqui, and deep space get another shot. Deep space looking to get it off the line from their vert stack. Nice inside to the front. Using that wide space, Rowe with the disc. Rowe with a very good toe in. Gets a little inside break up there. And that is 5 yards off Rowe, taking a big wide reset again. Rowe with the disc again. Maybe he'll look for another inside. Doesn't find it. There's a little dish backwards to Seville. He gives and goes. Deep space using the small spaces. Rowe with a swing to the front of the stack again. And the little pass is in right there. I believe that's Gibson with the goal. Deep space are rolling 4-1. 3 in a row for deep space. 2 breaks. We'll see if Sesqui call a timeout to try and ice the defense from deep space, but currently the momentum is all on London's side. Deep space back out on defense again. And it looks like they have... Sesqui have decided to keep the majority of their offensive stalwarts in. Barentin to Guy. Guy with a wide swing. Barentin manages to pull it down though. Barentin started in Le Mans, originally a Montchot, seeing her hometown team playing in the other side of the pool. She lives in Strasbourg now, so she's been playing with Sesqui for a number of years. She's a very powerful thrower, playing for France Mixed this year in Australia, after playing with the women last year in Limerick. It looks like there is a pick, some type of stoppage. Barentin over to Oncelin. Again, the two of those are going to be touching a huge volume of disc. Tessier has come over from the D-line. Tessier back in the center with the disc. He has an excellent inside and a very nice around, which he uses right there. Sesqui just working it slowly. Oncelin gets the disc again and another pick. There's a lot of cluster from the Sesqui offense. Deep space is going to have some difficulty containing the throws from Oncelin. That's a nice high release and a great layout from Loris Petitot. And Lolo on the go, he gets a nice layout goal to stabilize Sesqui's offense. 4-2 for deep space still. If you're out here watching this stream on this fine Saturday morning, go ahead and drop a comment in the chat. Tell us who you're supporting. We are lucky enough to have all four fields from the Elite Invite streamed for the majority of the time here. We have got, of course, this match for the pool from Pool A. On the other field in Pool A, we have Disconnection versus Tartu Turbulence. 4-2 Disconnection leading that game. And we have Reading Ultimate versus Leamington Lemmings on another field, and Montchot versus Nulac. Nulac's leading 5-2. I'm sorry, I believe that our score is actually 4-3 now. Of course. Caudron working it through the zone. Deep space looking to find something on the wide side where there are fewer defenders. Deniston back with this team after being absent from Padova. Her impact was huge in that disconnection game. She's an excellent thrower and also just an amazing athlete. Caudron with the disc. Deep space just working it through the center, finding the gaps between the middle and the cup. Sesqui sound like they are transitioning maybe a little bit late though, as deep space work it through for a quick goal. I believe that is Squires off of the small dishy passes into the center. So again, the format for this tournament, we have two pools of 4. Everybody will make it to quarters regardless of what their results in pool play were. But this is also, of course, for seeding. Much better to go up against one of the lower seeds. All of these teams from the Elite Invite are strong. But even so, there are different levels that we're looking at right now. Pool B is looking like a gigantic mess. All of the teams yesterday went from 1-1. Reading coming out and establishing a pretty commanding lead against Montchot to start out, but after their victory over Nulac on the live commentary stream. But Reading faltering in the second half. I think that they've got some pieces who have just arrived. So we'll see how Pool B shakes out. But for the moment being, we are glued to this screen. The match for the pool of Pool A. 5-3 deep space are leading. Deep space look like they're taking a bit of time on the line. Maybe there was a timeout there. Wonder if they're going to be cooking up something different to slow down that Sesqui give and go. I think that so far they've done a pretty good job. Of course, Sesqui like to move the disc through a few very key players. On offense, you know that it's going to be Barentin, Petitot, and Ancelin. So trying to key in on those players, hopefully deny them the disc and maybe push them upfield. One of the most difficult assignments as a defensive player is to force a very good player out of their comfort zone, but that's what makes great defenders. So we'll see if Deep Space can do this if they are up to the task. Barentin receiving the pull to Ancelin in the center. Sesqui out of a vert stack this time. Wide cut to Petitot. Guy and Petitot just play together. Barentin with the disc. She puts up a big inside, but that is going to be short, and that is a great defense from Deep Space. That's Ian Tate with the D. And Deep Space also coming out in a vert stack of their own, looking to break. Break to Tate at the front of the stack. He fakes the big backhand and he just recenters. It was Georgie Hill in the center of the field. She's looking to get it back now. Flip up to her down the sideline. She's trying to get it off now. That mark has been deadly for a lot of teams, that trap mark, but Deep Space looked like they're rather comfortable with it. Hill just doing damage, consistently taking that strike cut, and a weird scooper over the top, right to the defense. Looked like Barentin got a hand on that. Not the greatest decision from Georgie Hill, but an exciting one, and that's what we're here for. Petitot again, one of the isolated players out of the vert stack. No surprise right there. Sesqui work it down on the sideline. That trap defense is there again, and that's a fluttery throw, but Barentin comes down with it. Looks like Rowe put his body in there, and Barentin doesn't look like she is going to call anything, but perhaps not comfortable with the contact. It's unclear what's happening right here. Rowe thought there was no call. The disc is remaining on the ground, though, so I'm assuming that this is going to be a turnover. Probably a foul call on the mark from the body language of the players there. I think that's Tiffen Lecce who's calling the foul. Hill on the mark. And it looks like it is uncontested, I want to say, from a couple of the hand signals that I can see there. Lecce with the flip. A big pivot around to Petitot. Petitot throws one out into space for Dudu. Antoine on the line, trying to get it over to Ancelin, her World Games counterpart. And Sesqui's offense are getting the passes, but not gaining a ton of territory. They're struggling for every meter. Deep Space is putting good pressure on, and that's a turnover. That pressure eventually built up, and they forced the throw. Deep Space get another chance at a break. I believe Hill going to pick up the disc once again for Deep Space. Little fill play to the front of the stack. Tate with the disc. Tate looking for that inside block by a good mark from Kylian Gate. And a little inside Oyo. Deep space are losing yards. They're in their end zone right now. There's a little inside up to Rowe. Rowe throws it around to Tate, who's ditched the hat. Back into the center. Tate with the give and go. And a big backhand fake. Disappointment from the sideline. Sideline is sounding rather frenetic right here. And it looks like deep space are working it down the sideline there. A big throw goes up. Tate with an unfortunate turn going his way. It looked like that throw might have been able to be scooped up by him, but it was a tough layout and good pressure from Kiki. Seski calling a timeout. Onslin deciding to regroup, get his offense in order, and see what they can do. All right, while these teams take a timeout, we're going to take a timeout. I will see you when we are right back. Welcome back. This is Siski coming out on offense after the timeout against Deep Space. Sorry if there's some problems with the stream. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties with the connection, and there's some lag. Right now, that seems to be solved. I'm just going to enjoy. And we're back. Sorry about that. There were some technical difficulties that we had to deal with. Hopefully the stream is looking better right now. This is 6-4. It looks like Deep Space scored during the period when we were resetting the stream. And this is Deep Space's D-line again out there. It's Tessier with the disc, a big inside, but that is too short. And Deep Space get another block. Rose stopping the roll. Excellent grab, low to ground right there. Potter with the disc. With Tim Gilboy in the reset space. Strasbourg struggling a little bit against this sideline trap. Good around to the sideline. Down the sideline to Archer, but it's too far out of her reach despite the layout. Siski get another chance. Ancelin coming to pick up the disc. Rowe on the mark. Rowe using his frame. He's got long arms and he's got very quick steps, so he's using all of his frame to try and limit what Ancelin can throw. Obviously very difficult to limit such a great thrower, but another throw away from Siski. Although this one looked like it was going to be discussed by Tessier. Tessier decides to retract whatever it was he might have called. Good around for Deep Space. Potter again with that inside. Deep Space throwing a hammer fake, but not letting it go. Another round going to Archer. That is a great grab high in the air from her, and the immediate fire into the end zone. Deep Space up 7-4 on Seski. This is one of those critical moments in a game, I think, when you're Siski, when you really want to lean on your stars. They've been really depending on those big players, Petito, Ancelin, Dudu, Céline Antoine, rather, and Barentin to move the disc and to create something for them. But they've played a lot of points, and they've been touching a lot of discs, which means that they've been churning a lot with those legs. So it looks like a lot of that same personnel is back out there again. Some of them rested before, but Ancelin refusing to give up on his team and continuing to fight. Good sagging in the lane. Bru is out there from the D-line to help reinforce this offensive line from Strasbourg. A lot of faking from Barentin. It looked like Juju might have been open on the side right there, but just a little bit hesitant. Little flip up from Maton to Barentin. Barentin back around into Ancelin. Here we go. We'll see if we can get this little dish go, but Gay just drops it. Kiki is signaling a foul. Astonishment from the sideline. I have to say, from my perspective, it looked like it was just a drop with maybe some contact afterwards. Kiki agrees he retracts that call. Of course, I have the best perspective, about 500 kilometers away. And Deep Space setting up with their stack, breaking around to Ali Thomas at the front of the stack. They're looking for their reset. And a little flip on the inside chisel pass. Deep space just currently working it between the handlers. Looking to find some movement downfield. Force backhand has been the name of the game. Rowe with the disc on the sideline, also running that give and go. A wide swing, and that is just too far. Great work from the Siski defense. Really just forcing the throws a little bit wider than deep space wanted, forcing them to give and go far too many times, and eventually deep space look a little bit tired on that final throw and just put it out too far to the sideline. Onslaught to pick up the disc. And a tight pass. Petito with the disc in the center. Maton with the disc. Maton faking, looking for something. High release over around to Barentin. Barentin once again finding her mixed teammate, Justine Bru. Her mixed France teammate, I should say. Onslaught with the disc. He's deadly in these positions. He's got a wide array of high releases. Little flip around to Dudu. And that soft throw out to space from Petito to Onslaught. Onslaught dishes for the score. Siski love that throw, that little lefty out into space. Let their handler just run into it when their defender is face guarding them. So 7-5. Deep space currently leading. Deep space, I think, can overall be happy with their defensive performance, though. They've forced Siski to take a lot of passes. They forced the O-line to spend a lot of time on the field. And so some of those players have been not only having to cut many times on offense, but they've been having to defend against some very active deep space players as well when they do that transition. I believe this is a timeout call. I would say that it's deep space who've called it. We're going to take a short timeout too, and I will join you when we get back. All right, and welcome back. This is undoubtedly a timeout called from deep space. They want to regroup before halftime. If they can put this point in, then they'll maintain their 3-point lead going into half. I believe that they have the disc as well coming out of halftime. Just for some quick hits from around the rest of the division, we've got Disconnection taking half 8-5 against Tartu. Reading 8-7 over Lemmings. And Nulacht 8-6 over Monchaux. Monchaux have managed to close the gap a little bit, stabilize. Hopefully they can bring back and play another tight game, just like they did yesterday against Reading. A brick pull from Siski will put Deep Space one step closer to their hopes to maintain the advantage out of halftime. It's like Cook with the disc. With Itur at the back of the stack, he goes deep immediately, and there's a little clock play, but it looks like there was a misunderstanding from the front of the stack. Iturmendi going to the open side when he probably should have gone to the break side, or vice versa. Not sure if that was Denniston or Iturmendi. Doesn't matter though, Deep Space are currently in some nice flow, They're on the sideline. They find a tight inside window. Just looking to find something. This end zone has been a struggle, I think, for both teams. Some very good poaching and switching going on, slowing down a lot of the momentum in the vertical space. A lot of side-to-side movement from both teams, but not much gains in the vertical space. Iturmendi in a tight situation. He throws a vertical scuba, which is caught for a goal, and what a bizarre throw. That was the Magia Canaria that Itur was looking for. A vertical scuba into the center of the stack. Little hug between him and Kofi. Kofi looked like he had gotten to a very high count. That is deep space into halftime. 8-5, maintaining their advantage. All right, we're going to take a halftime break as well. I will join you in just a minute back in Leuven, but for the moment being, go ahead, flip around through the other streams, channel surf a little bit, and we will see you here in another couple minutes. Welcome back to the coverage between Siski and Deep Space. My name is Francis Dieterle. Deep Space maintaining a comfortable lead at 8-5 going into the halftime. They are starting on offense too, going to see if they can get the buy one, get one free deal. Of course, cashing in those breaks early was very key for them. Siski had some struggles, and they've played some long O points. We'll see what they do on defense to try and slow down the deep space offense. They had some success on that final point. Iturmendi forced to throw up a scuba into the center of the stack, and Denniston coming down with it. As the camera gives us a little bit of privacy, both teams in their corners before the pole goes up. Iturmendi catching the centering pole. He is starting as a handler and immediately going downfield. Cauldron overthrows her receiver. It's an immediate turnover and probably exactly what Siski want. Tessier calling out his offense with Cedric Wagentrutz in the back. High release up to Wagentrutz. He uses his big frame to corral that throw. He is right here and trapped in that corner. Tessier just dancing around in the lane, but a very good inside floater from Cedric. Tessier dishing backwards, and there is a pick called. Unclear if Anaïs Mupulgui will keep it. It looks like she will not. She'll dish it right back to Tessier. Not too much of a surprise. There's a lot of cluster. 6 people within 8 meters of the disc. Tessier keeps it. He has a rather low count. We'll see if Sesqui can find some organization and a little bit of structure here. Boboguet gets a little short throw upfield. We'll see what she can do with it right here. And that throw just through the hands just a little too fast. The short forehands are very difficult. Technically, it's probably better just to throw a push pass or a lefty backhand into the small spaces rather than a forehand. My personal favorite being the push pass, of course, but my captains would say otherwise. Here we've got a nice dig out of the ground from deep space. Apologies for the technical difficulties. We're having some connection problems, but it looks like deep space turned it back over. Mobile here with the disc again. She throws a good forehand up, and it bounces off of her hands. Iturmendi recovers that one. He's got an excellent back, and he puts that one up. That's a good rundown from deep space. And a full field huck from Iturmendi. So despite some back and forth, the Spanish wizard has pulled another trick out of his bag, showing that he has the throws to match his speed and his intuition as well on the field. What a great throw from him. Deep space managed to hold on their offense. They've got some buy one, get one free action coming in. Currently leading 9-5. What a way to make a living, as I'm sure Steph would say if he were here. Both teams having some struggles in the red zone. I think that Iturmendi huck was exactly what was needed, just to open up the game, avoid any problems that you could have with the red zone. Just opening up the field. Sesqui themselves, they've been able to find a lot of lateral space, but the deep space defense has really been gumming up their offense and been unable to find big spaces in that red zone area. Kiki with the disc on the sideline. Gay looking for something at a high stall count. That one goes up, and that is an overthrow. Good pressure defense from deep space. There might be a call of some sort. If I am imagining from the throw, I think that that's going to be stall out contest. Of course, using hand signals will always help us commentators to figure out what is happening. Also seems to be signaling that the turnover should be over there where the disc is in the far end zone. While they're discussing this, let's get some quick hits from around the division. Got Disconnection maintaining their lead going into the second half, 10-7 over Tartu. Reading and Lemming all notched up at 8s, 2 Snowmen on the board. And Molstro coming back into it, 7-8. Still down to Newlocked, but making a game of it. All right, I'm hearing something on the sideline saying, I think it's a fast count, so maybe there was a fast count on Gay's throw before. Potter, a little dish inside, and that is a floaty inside out. Archer has a big frame, and she calls a foul. Looks like she might have been feeling some contact from Petito. They're going to discuss it a little bit. I don't know if that actually was. It looked like Deep Space had a chance to get in there and make a call. Although Archer is claiming that she was in the air and she felt some contact on the back. Difficult to tell from the camera angle on this one. And Archer retracts for Falco. There's been a lot of retracts in this game. I think that it's good to talk about these things, especially when there's no problem for tempo off of these discs. It's not like there would be any advantage in initiative that's gained from slowing the game down. So good calls, good retracts from both teams. Austin in the red zone over to Barentin. Barentin looking for another give and go. Good defense from deep space to stifle those up the lines. They're forced to swing it back over. And wow, what a mark from Xiaoyan. So she is her hands full trying to contain Barentin. She's doing an excellent job of it. And inside to Sesqui, Loris Petitot finds the red zone, and Sesqui put one on the board, their first of this half. Currently 9-6. Sesqui trying to find some energy for this defensive point. We'll see what they cook up. We haven't seen that zone that they ran in the first few points in a while. I would... From that zone really slowed down Deep Space's initial looks. I think it's a good idea to run that. Maybe in a transition. Transition mix is... A transition defense in mixed is obviously a little bit more difficult than in open and women's. You have to find the right gender matching player, but it is always worth a shot to try something when you're down. And you have to go to that tried and true cliche of Ultimate. Never lose a game without throwing a zone once or twice. Deep Space struggled again on their first offensive point with multiple turns of this half. Finished it off by that dazzling Iturmendi huck. See what they can do to calm themselves. Cauldron with the disc out of the vert stack. It's like a little bit of a zipper play, perhaps. So the disc is pinned on the sideline over there. Deniston unable to get that one. Hawker's throw just out of reach for Deniston. Normally you will see her hit the ground, but that one must have been far too out of her range, because she is not... She's always willing to sacrifice her body for the team. Moboulgué with a high... I believe that's Moboulgué with the high release. That is a turnover. Sesqui lose it again. Deep Space. Get the disc back again. Cauldron with the disc. Deniston's got it now. And there's a deep shot going up for Deep Space. Cauldron. Oh, it's not Cauldron. Whoever the receiver was outthrown by Deep Space. Looks like the magic is not there, and they're unable to unlock that deep game. Credit to Sesqui's defense, though. I think that a lot of the goals have not come from Deep Space's hucking. They've done a good job of closing off that deep space and forcing them into a different plan. There is a bit of there's a clam defense coming in, some sagging into the open lane. Sedlik, Wagentrutz, Blue just decides that she's going to huck straight through it, and that is a D from Cook. Not a great decision from Blue, but sometimes you just have to open up to make the defense react. Deniston back with the disc. Playing between handlers right now, and that's a tight throw. Cook gets it through the hand of Etienne Michon. Sesqui are trying to force those handlers to go upfield. Blue in the backfield. Cauldron gets the wide swing out, and she's double-teamed. Moboulgué and Blue on the mark. Now she's looking. Cauldron finds the open space in the back of the field, and that is a great grab. What a find from Cauldron. Deep Space struggling a little bit on offense in the second half, but still maintaining their lead, 10-6. Siski just a little frivolous with the disc. And Bru had a chance. She saw that there was a post. She tried to huck through it. But of course, in mixed, you have to be very attentive to those cross-gender matchups, especially when there are male matching players roaming in the deep space. That is something to watch out for. We saw that Clam defense, by nature, the horizontal stack likes to have the disc in the center of the field. That's where it's strongest. So the Seski were coming in on the sideline through the horizontal. And there's a big poach in the center of the lane. Cedric Wagentrutz was just hanging out while his guy was standing and gumming up a lot of the movement that could have happened for Siski. One great way to do that is to just clear the handler straight up field and get that person who's poached back into the handler space. Now, Onslaught with the disc on Siski's offense. Kylian Gay with a little stop-start cut to get some yards. Down to Petito. Petito into a small window. Siski are willing to play with these. Archer is on the mark. Looks like there is a poach on the far line. Alix Lernou poached on the far side. We'll see if her teammate can reach her. Petito in the reset space. A lot of clustering in the center of the field from Siski, though. A nice inside to Petito. Petito once again looking for Onslaught. And a high disc. Onslaught gets it through the reaching defensive row, and he throws a flip. A very difficult series of catches there, but Seski hold with no turns. It's 10-7. Deep Space still leading. Deep Space looking a little frustrated on that point, but a lot of times that we forget that the defense is not always going to touch the disc. The offense has a lot of advantage. They understand what they're doing. They have a plan in mind, and a lot of times defenses are really just hoping to get a chance at a block. I think that that's really a victory for Deep Space's D-line. Something they can take into account going forward. In this format, only 2 games a day, so we see Onslaught coming out. They're loading up the D-line. Petito also in there. They have decided that this is an important point. Siski are trying to get a break right now. TT on the mark. Tight around window, but that one is towed in. Tom Fisher threw that one into a porthole. Excellent toe-in on the sideline. We're in the blind spot of the camera right now, but Onslaught is on the mark. Little shuffle cut back into the center for Amy Fensale. So we see a big bid coming from Siski. Petito trying to get that one from Cook. Cook back with the disc. Cook throws it down the line. And that's a goal from the man himself, Alvaro Iturmendi, the goal machine. Looks like he put a spell on Tessier and just walked to the open side on that one. Of course, part of what makes Itur so dangerous is his incredible timing. He looks like he's doing nothing for a little bit, and then he always manages to find the correct timing off of the swing. He manages to put himself in the proper position to set up his cut. He's got some excellent field vision that allows him to do that on offense. One of the lead goal scorers on that Spanish beach team that got second in the Open Division at Worlds. I believe that Loris Petitot also played at that beach championship. I might be incorrect, but he played on that open team that Spain took down on Universe. Some rivalry going on. Siski flowing down, and that is a very tight inside off of the deep space defender's hand. Baronta managed to hold on to that. Onslin looking to work something on the mark, but Rowe has been doing a good job of limiting his throwing space. Rowe bodying, trying to lay out. Onslin unhappy with the contact. I understand that one. Rowe landed around his feet. It's very difficult to limit a thrower like Onslin. Well, to shut them down is one thing. That is a very difficult thing to shut down in such an offensive powerhouse like Onslin, but a lot of times you have to be content with just limiting them. Good defense from Rowe, and that wide swing forces Seski into an unclear position. Juju just dropped that one, or the throw might have been too short for her. Deep space with a little high release flip into the inside out space. Getting some give and go Potter there, and there's a wide high throw. The deep space receiver tried to throw that one in, but that was just too far. Good effort from deep space, but unable to bring that one in. And Seski get another opportunity. Who else but Gaël Onslin to pick up the disc? Throw down the line. Juju with the disc to Petitot. You can hear calls from the sideline and get off the line, get it off the line. Little flip there, Petitot with some small ball between him and Onslin, and Onslin throws it down the line to Kikige. Adds another stat to his list, and we have a score of 11-8 for deep space. Currently all holds in this second half. Neither offense has gotten broken. A couple of turnovers on both sides, though. So we'll see when they will be able to get a break in. Give you some quick hits from around the division. We've got Disconnection with a commanding lead, 14-8 over Tartu. Lemmings going on a run, 11-8 over Reading currently. Reading is having some struggles. Maybe their personnel haven't been integrated as well, but they're using this for development, trying to gel their systems. And Nulacht, 11-9 over Mosho currently. Back here, we've got deep space coming out on offense. Deep space trapped on that sideline. The high release finds an out for them. You can hear that the Seski sideline is getting into it. They're saying, raise your hands, put your hands up, trying to avoid those high releases. Looks like a forced middle maybe from Blue, but he's back at it, and Itur scores again. Alvaro Iturmendi finds some soft space right there. I believe Cauldron put a nice looping forehand to the big space that Iturmendi created for himself. That's excellent offense from deep space. (12-8) currently. Looks like there's some discussion going on between Bru and maybe Potsokorski. I'm not sure who is the non-playing player from Sesquidistus is, who she's talking to, but maybe she misinterpreted the force. Maybe at that point they had already called for the transition into a single side force rather than maintaining the middle throughout the entire point. Siski still haven't gone back to that zone that they played at the very beginning. Deep space. Maybe going to cook up something of their own. Their defense has been doing a good job in match, though. Bounce on with the disc. Looks like a 5-person. Maybe a vert. And just some continuation cuts down the sideline. Dudu gets the first cut to Petito. Petito pinned on the sideline, throws an inside to Onslaught, and he throws a somewhat scary pass to his receiver. Petito back again. Again, these three receivers have really been touching a lot of the discs for Siski, and that's an easy run to the open side. I want to say that's Lunael Maton with the goal. Deep space. Not able to create the same pressure that they have in previous points. Siski's offense looked like they found a groove and just ran with it. Deep space still maintaining the lead. Weather in Leuven has been quite nice this weekend. Just a little bit of a breeze picking up towards the end of the day yesterday, but in general, it has been pretty warm. Comfortable weather, very nice for Belgium especially. You can see that on this turf field it's probably getting a little bit hot. There's a lot of people in short sleeves or no sleeves. So deep space looking to come out on offense, maintain their lead. With that 4-goal margin. I have to say, from around the division, from the games that I've seen, Deep Space have looked like the most put together team. They look like they're the ones who are most comfortable executing their strategies, and they've got good chemistry, probably built up from that earlier Padova tournament. A lot of these other teams not playing an earlier tournament. Siski obviously playing at French Nationals, but this is their first EUF sanctioned event, or their first EUF hosted event, I should say. All right. Pick called, reestablishes play. It's a great around break. Fischer's got the disc. Fischer with another around break past the outstretched arm of Gaël Onslaught. Onslaught playing both ways, and that goes down the sideline. But Onslaught is going to call a travel, saying that he stopped and that Cook changed direction. Somewhat difficult to tell from the stop-start motion of our camera. I thought that looked okay. Onslaught doesn't agree with me. Dingo with the disc in his hands, trying to find the same throw, and he does to a very small space. Puts it up to Fischer. It's an excellent pass from Cook. And Deep Space will maintain their lead. 13-9. 4 points up. So quick hits as we're nearing the end of this game. If Deep Space are able to maintain this, they will take the top spot from Pool A. Disconnection, 15-8 over Tartu Turbulence. Tartu is now at 1 and 2. No, excuse me, a Disconnection are now at, I believe, 2 losses and 1 victory over Tartu. So, I believe that Tartu will go in at the bottom of the pool. Disconnection taking third. Siski would come in second. From the other pool, we have Leamington Lemmings maintaining and extending their lead, 12-8 over Reading, and Nulok 13-9 over Molsho, doing the same. And the other pool is an absolute mess, so it's anybody's guess who is going to take that one. Balance on with the disc. Horizontal stack is rather deep from Siski. They're not able to find that space. And as I say that, they've transitioned into a vertical stack, or at least a stack where all the players are in the center. Maybe that confusion caused a turnover. Siski unable to reset comfortably in deep space. With a little break to Archer. Archer using her length to try and reach around the mark, but a pick is called. Archer just dishing right back to Potter. Potter, give and go with Archer. Archer with a big backhand fake. She pivots around. She throws it inside. There's a tight window. What a grab from Stephen Millard. Deep Space extending their lead, 14-9. That is exactly what they've needed. First break of the half from either side. Siski look like they're a little out of energy. These games are long, despite only playing 2 games per day. We've seen that their big players have been putting in a lot of minutes. And especially on this hot turf, you can see that that's starting to wear them down a little bit. Just that extra bit of juice that they had earlier in the game. Barentin, Ancelin, Petitot, it seems that they are slowing down just a little bit, that extra second of hesitation coming from the throws in Deep Space, using their depth and their pressure accordingly. So this is Deep Space's first attempt to get to game point. They are at 14-9. Pull is caught from Ancelin, centered up to Barentin, and another split stack. We see Petitot isolated on the side. That little small dish offense back to Ancelin. Ancelin throws a blade, but that is right into the center. That is not the throw that he was looking for. Deep Space are off to the races now. Moving it back and forth between their handlers. And a big throw goes up to Rowe. There was a moment where that looked like that could have been good, but that was just too far for Rowe. Kate Gibson really believing in her teammate. But Rowe unable to get there on the chase. He's done a very good job of defending Ancelin. Been putting him in some very difficult positions. And obviously, as I said before, not easy to shut down a player of that caliber, but just making him hesitate another second. As the trio combine again, Juju back to Petitot on that split stack play. Petitot is at Ancelin. Rowe maintaining the mark, a little bit of contact. Deep Space are on the hip of every single one of these cuts right here. Barentin just with short gains. Very small gains from Strasbourg right now. They're only going down the line. Dudu with the disc on the sideline. And finds a nice inside to Ancelin. Ancelin just grabbing that with his fingernails. Finds a small space in the center of the field. That she to Oncelin with a fast around throw. Petito once again. And it looks like Petito stepped on his Mark's foot. Mark is calling a foul. With no contest from Petito. We'll see what sort of defense they're able to do. Rowe with a bid that does not work, and Oncelin finds a small bit of space at the front. Siski hold. So this is 14-10. Deep space, maintaining their margin over Seski. So just to talk a little bit about the shape of these two seasons, Deep Space went to Padova with a slightly shortened roster. They ended up only having, I believe, 5 or 4 women at the end of that tournament. So they had some closer games than they would have wanted against some teams that they thought they could beat pretty comfortably normally. This team, this Deep Space team that we see here, is a lot more complete. We can see that they're also playing against some higher quality opponents in general. The reigning champs, of course, so we would expect nothing less from them. But they've really upped their game since that Padova tournament. I think that those early season developments are very important. Despite the results that come out of them, the important things that you can learn from them are team chemistry and just getting in-game situation. One tournament is almost worth 3 or 4 months worth of practice. So we'll see if they can put that to good use and close out this game. Cauldron centers it up to Cook. Only resets available right now. And Cook is forced to put up a hope and a prayer, and that hope and prayer are dashed by Cedric if I include the Grandmaster getting in there and smacking down the D. Bru picking up the disc. The Angers product, playing for Strasbourg for a number of years now. Trying to use her speed. She has got some big throws. We'll see if she can put one up to her teammates. Currently just working it around the mark right now. Using her spacing. Blue with a big fake, a nice around to TT. Michon takes the swing, but that one is just behind Cedric Wagentrutz. Itur again with an attempted fast break. Doesn't find anything. Just dishes around. That one's into space for Iturmendi. Will he put it? Going with a solid choice. Faking that one off. Cook swings it around. Kofi is struggling to get back on the mark with Cook. Cook has it. And he is once again in a high-pressure situation. Seski haven't been able to find that defensive spark until this point. Cook in acres of space in front. Kofi looks like he just gave up on that. And Cook finds a nice bit of space for Iturmendi. That is the game. 15-10 for Deep Space. They will take that top slot in Pool A. So congratulations to Deep Space. Commiserations to Seski. They put up a good effort at the end with some defensive intensity. But Deep Space's offensive consistency really taking the game on that one. Thank you to everybody who joined us in this stream. Thank you to everybody out there watching on demand. And thank you especially to our volunteers on the ground, everybody helping us set up the streams. Enjoy. The mixed division will continue in the next round with our quarterfinals, but next round action, we've got some women's quarterfinals coming up. Be sure to check that out on the EUF website. We've got 4 fields being streamed. Thank you so much to everybody out there. I've been Francis Dieterle. Have a great weekend and enjoy the rest of our coverage of the EUF Elite Invite from Leuven, Belgium.